Hello and welcome to Weight Loss Awakening, another episode. And I wanted to make a quick video to talk to you about a couple concepts that we have spoken about before, actually, because we've gone through protein, we've gone through fat, and we've gone through carbohydrates. And so we've covered a lot of actually the bulk of the nutritional information that I want to share with you. But what I'd like to talk about today is this concept of adding something to your diet and subtracting something from your diet. And a lot of diet experts out there will really focus on what you need to stop eating. Now, we all know that things like processed carbohydrates and sugar are things that we need to avoid. But I generally don't focus on that. I focus on the things that we need to add to our diet. And what makes that special is basically because when we get into the routine of making sure that we add something to our diet, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, then it just becomes a whole lot easier. So here's a list of the things that I think you need to consider adding to your diet on a daily basis. The first is 1 pound of green vegetables a day, and that would be half raw and half cooked. So the reason I say half raw, half cooked is because there are certain things in certain vegetables that actually are made more bioavailable by cooking. But at the same time, there are also things that are made less bioavailable or less absorbed by cooking. And so if you get a ratio of half raw and half cooked, then that really will optimize things for you. Now, the second thing that I'd like to add to everybody's diet is 1 handful of nuts per day. So when you add 1 handful of nuts per day, it evens out your blood sugar. And when it evens out your blood sugar, then you don't have the cravings that you would normally have when you add minimum of 1 handful of nuts per day. The third thing that I like to add is 2 tablespoons of ground flax, chia, or hemp seeds. Now, this adds essential fatty acids to your diet, and it also adds what are called lignans in the flax, which are these really potent anti-cancer things that are in flax. And you need to actually have ground flax. But when you grind the flax, you have to be conscious of the fact that once it's ground, it's actually not going to stay all that good for that long, because these fats are actually very, very unstable. And so if you buy the whole flax seeds and then grind them, and then use 2 tablespoons. You could mix it in water, you can add it to your salad, you can put it in your smoothie. But once you get these 2 in, again, you're adding essential fatty acids, it's filling, it's got a lot of fiber to it, so it's an incredible addition to your diet. The other thing I like to add is 1 apple per day. And you know that saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But I think if, again, we're focusing on adding things to our diet, and when we add it to our diet and it becomes a routine, what you're going to find is when you add all of these things into your diet, that your cravings for other foods are actually going to decrease. And one of the members of the group actually commented about that she's losing weight steadily, and she realizes she's not craving the sweets that she used to before. We all need to understand that for a lot of us, not everyone, but for a lot of us, when we have these cravings for sweets, a lot of what's happening is, again, we're having this blood sugar spike where our blood sugar goes up and it goes down, and then we crave sugar. And when you've gotten that 1 pound of greens and that handful of nuts and that 1 apple with all the fiber in the apple and the 2 tablespoons of flax seeds per day, if you get all that into your diet, I guarantee you're going to get an evening out of your blood sugar, and you're going to feel so much better. Your cravings are going to decrease. And that's why I think that this is so important, that not necessarily focusing on taking out everything. We know what we need. Generally speaking, all of us know what we need to take out. You know we need to take out sugar. You know we need to take out white flour and these sorts of things. But if we focus on adding instead of subtracting, then you're going to see these cravings really even out, and you're going to feel a whole lot better. Now, I wanted to talk about one more thing before I go, and that is this concept of this space that we spoke about in the first video. And the quote was by Viktor Frankl. And the quote was, between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space lies our freedom. And, as I said, when we're driving around and someone cuts us off, we slam our horn and we get angry, and we feel like there's no space involved. In other words, we just react, stimulus and response. Well, the same thing happens with really our food choices, our health choices, that oftentimes we are a victim of having no space between stimulus and response. Every moment of every day, we are given a choice. And it reminds me of that quote in the Bible that basically says, every day I set before you, life or death, choose life. And so every moment that we have a choice to make. And we need to sort of drill down and think about that in all parts of our life. And the same thing goes with the food that we eat and the health decisions we make. And when we are consciously making a choice to add the things that I just mentioned into your diet, then you are becoming an active participant in your health. And you are becoming your own, not just your own authority, but your own advocate for yourself. And so we want to practice putting this space in and mentally saying, is this a life-affirming decision or a life-denying decision, as I spoke about in the first video. I hope that this concept of adding versus subtracting is something that maybe you haven't thought of before. If you haven't thought of it before, just being conscious of the fact that we are adding and not subtracting really adds sort of an additional element to your overall health plan, because most of the time, most diet books are telling you, get rid of this, get rid of that. And while that is true, that there are obviously some things that you need to remove, by being proactive and making those choices of adding these things into your diet, I think that you're going to see really remarkable improvements. So that's this video. I'm actually in Kyoto, Japan, standing in front of one of my favorite artists' sculptures. And I wanted to thank everyone in the group for making all the comments that they're making. I'm super appreciative of that. And again, I'm very excited that we're building this community of people, and I'm so happy we're seeing all the different kinds of success stories in the group. So please leave your comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next time for wherever I may be. This is Dr. Cart for Weight Loss with Weight Gain. See you next time.